Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. Right, there's been some insane transfer rumours going around this year, but let's take a look at every Premier League club and see just what would have happened if your weirdest transfer rumour had actually happened this year. Right, let's go. Arsenal Jesse Lingard. Yeah, remember during the spring when Arsenal went in with Jesse Lingard, who's arguably one of the most disliked players ever seen at the Emirates? Are we forgetting he's repeatedly turned that stadium into his own private disco? I'm pretty sure when the Emirates Stadium was built in 2006, the plan was to be lifting league titles in that ground, not to be a platform for internet wet wipes like Lingard to be breaking out the Millie Rock. So if Mikel Arteta actually decided to leave Mesut Ozil on the couch in favour of chucking Lingard into a number 10 role, I'm pretty sure not only would the man be sacked by Christmas, but Arsenal fans would be demanding he seek psychological attention. Aston Villa Teemu Pukki. Yeah, Aston Villa finding themselves linked with Teemu Pukki of Norwich in the summer. Really? Based on what? One purple patch of form in the autumn of 2019? Yes, the Finnish striker started like a house on fire for Norwich City, smashing home a hat-trick against Newcastle at home, scoring against Man City and Chelsea. Anyone who didn't have him in their fancy league team back then was clearly starved of oxygen in the womb. Having said that, the guy didn't score in his last 13 Premier League games, so Norwich relying on him to fire them to safety, it's a bit like relying on the town drunk to cut your hair without blinding you in one eye. Pukki instead of Ollie Watkins. Oh god, Villa would be 14th at best. Brighton and Ayo. Yeah, Graham Potter was linked with a reunion with Ayo, but was apparently priced out due to his 90 grand a week wages. I know what you're thinking. For an experienced big name like Ayew, you'd think he and his agent would jump at a Premier League ticket instead of, choosing to run on bus trips to Middlesbrough and Wickham every other week. Listen, this guy is a threat in the Championship, but clearly his Premier League days are over. Are we forgetting for West Ham in the Premier League, he looked more out of place than Floyd Mayweather in a library? If Brighton had signed him instead of Danny Welbeck, they'd be shutting out nearly 100 grand a week for someone to rot on the bench, and I'm pretty sure that's how you turn into the next Portsmouth or Leeds. I.e., so strapped for cash, you're probably forced to serve plates of toenails in the canteen. Burnley Ryan Christie. Yeah, apparently Ryan Christie from Celtic was linked to the move to Burnley in recent months. You know what, he'd probably been a decent signing, providing width and some actual crosses onto Chris Wood's head. It wouldn't have been a mental, mind-blowing transfer, but he'd probably been a solid, steady-ish signing. Chelsea Moussa Dembele. Yeah, remember when Chelsea failed with a £34 million bid for Moussa Dembele in January? Listen, the 24-year-old Frenchman is a good centre-forward, having smacked nearly 30 goals for Lyon last season, and considering he used to play for Fulham, he probably still has a house in West London. But good Christ, he has Chelsea flop written all over his face. Are we just forgetting the fact this guy hasn't scored in 12 games for Lyon this season? And that's in the French league, where half the defenders probably spent the previous night milking cows on a farm in the middle of a local French village. If Chelsea had signed him, allowing Liverpool to swoop for Timo Werner, then I'm pretty sure he'd be finishing 6th in the league. Crystal Palace Theo Walcott. Yeah, Theo Walcott got his homecoming return with Southampton, but Crystal Palace nearly ruined that. If they were successful and Roy Hodgson had denied Walcott his dream return, instead dragging him to Sellers Park, I'm pretty sure the fellow would have spent the last 6 weeks crying to a bowl of sugar puffs. Sure, he'd add pace and threat to the Palace starting lineup, but considering he was regularly overlooked by Hodgson at England level, and this man served him the biggest disappointment of Walcott's career by leaving him on the couch for Euro 2016, Walcott probably spent the summer of 2016 wanting to shove Hodgson's face in a microwave. So being forced to work for him, it'd be like Callum's Corner applying for an editorial role at Will and E. Everton Ragnar Klavan. Yeah, remember when the Liverpool children knocked Everton's first team out of the FA Cup? I'm pretty sure Everton fans were furious, chewing a hole in their cheek at the other embarrassment. The only thing that could have made that week worse was if the transfer rumour had come true, and yes, Carlo Ancelotti brought in 34-year-old Liverpool reject Ragnar Klavan from Cagliari. This would be the final straw. Yes, hiring a 3-time European champion the month before, it was an ambitious move, but to then immediately drag in a Liverpool misfit, a piece of defensive rubbish that was laughed out of Anfield, the Evertonians would probably have ended up getting sick in their mouth. Fulham Gerard Piqué. How was this ever a transfer link? Yes, Gerard Piqué was utterly ridiculed by Bayern Munich in the Champions League, but not to the extent that he'd agreed to spend his 30s playing for Fulham. I mean, come on, he probably doesn't even know who Scott Parker is, because I doubt he was really paying attention to who or what was captaining West Ham back when he was winning the goddamn treble, ending his legacy with Barca to instead replace Alfie Mawson in a Fulham defence fighting off relegation. Going from relying on the creativity from Lionel Messi, now it's praying for Ademola Lookman to come good. Piqué's used to trying to persuade the likes of Neymar to stay at his team, not having sleepless nights sweating on whether or not Ruben Loftus-Cheek is going to commit to Fulham. This would be like when Rio Ferdinand signed for QPR, just an undignified end for a footballing great. Seeing a world champion on the same team as Kevin McDonald and Bobby De Cordova-Reid. It'd be like seeing Roger Federer sleeping in a bus shelter and selling chunks of his hair for cash. Just sad. Leeds Julian Draxler. Listen, Marcelo Bielsa recruited wisely this summer. No real massive big names, no overpaid superstars like QPR and Fulham in the past. No, just players who suit the system. So links to Julian Draxler, a German wonderkid at PSG. Actually, he's not really a wonder kid anymore, is he? He's 27. And yet, he still looks like a 12-year-old child, Price bump, when's he gonna hit puberty? 35? This guy's a dangerous winger, but Christ above, he's injury prone. He has muscles made of glass. Surprise, surprise, he's already missed 9 games this season with a hamstring injury. Draxler is the type of guy who'd probably pull a muscle reaching for the shampoo in the shower. So yeah, unless Leeds fans enjoy paying wages of £150,000 a week for someone to waste away in the treatment room, you know, the exact sort of transfer policy that got them relegated in the first place, then I'll say this one was a bullet dodged. Leicester Philippe Coutinho, priced above. Can you imagine if this deal had actually come off? To be fair, Leicester were linked to Philippe Coutinho in June before he banged in 2 against his former club in the Champions League before winning the competition with Bayern Munich. But good Christ, he left Liverpool to further his career. So if he was given a reunion with Brendan Rodgers at Leicester, I'm pretty sure he'd have spent the season sulking in the shower. It'd be like quitting your job as a highly paid lawyer to have a crack at juggling kittens on Britain's Got Talent before being laughed off the stage and then being forced to apply for work at the Burger King drive-thru. And as for James Maddison, what would happen to him? Suddenly shoved on the bench, impotently watching as Jack Grealish steals his England place with ease. This is a transfer which would have completely ripped the dressing room morale apart, with most players realising that Coutinho wanted nothing to do with them. Liverpool Leroy Sane. This just wouldn't make sense. Remember in May when Liverpool were continuously linked with Leroy Sane? What is this, 2015? Clearly the guy had enough of England. Insulted by Pep Guardiola sticking him on the bench, and had his eyes set on a return to Germany with the champions of Europe. So moving to Anfield, in what sort of sick universe would this have ever made sense? Jurgen Klopp signing Sane. It's just, no. Where would he fit? Does Klopp drop Firmino and then suddenly turn Salah into a centre forward with his back to goal, with Mane and Sane on the wings? I'm sorry, what? I mean, sure, the strike force of Mane, Salah, Sane, it sounds nice, it rolls off the tongue, but it doesn't make sense. It would make about as much sense as Deji having 10 million subs. Man City, Lionel Messi. Yeah, if Lionel Messi had his way, it'd probably wound up at Man City in the summer, but if he thought Barca were just going to allow the greatest footballer on planet Earth to waddle out of the club for less than the price of the Milky Way, then clearly he's more naive than someone who climbs into the back of an ice cream van. Had he wound up with the Etihad though, it would be game over. This would have been the big marquee signing that the City project has been moving towards for the last 12 years. This would, without a doubt, be the biggest transfer of all time. Partnering him with Guardiola, giving him service from De Bruyne. Oh, the stale cobwebs of the Etihad would be gone. This transfer alone would have pumped the spark back into the club, and lads, they'd have probably gone the entire season unbeaten. Christ, you could have stuck the melted cheese brain that is Nathan Ake in defence every week, and they'd still win the league with Messi in the team. Man United, Jeff Hendrick. Yes, if Man United fans were forced to watch their noisy neighbour sign Lionel Messi while they settle for Jeff Hendrick on a free from Burnley, that would probably be enough to make them rip their eyeballs out of their head in protest. To think this was an actually credible footballing rumour this year. Good Christ, Hendrick's not even good enough for Newcastle. He should barely be in the Ireland first team. He has the midfield presence of a stale turkey sandwich. This would have been a transfer which would have officially made Man United Banter Club FC, with a captain stuck in a Greek prison cell, a Cardiff reject at the wheel, and Roy Keane's Irish successor in midfield being a fellow who struggles to make a 5-yard pass. Oh, United fans would be at their wits' end. Newcastle Aaron Ramsey. I know Aaron Ramsey has been slightly underwhelming in Italy, going from Arsenal star to Juventus afterthought. But who thought a £15 million transfer to Newcastle was a realistic destination? This guy earns £400,000 a week to play with Ronaldo and win Serie A every year. If he returns to the Premier League, it's gonna be with a top 4 club, not to spend the final year of his 20s listening to Steve Bruce every week and stuck in the midfield with Sean Longstaff. And if it took the club 3 months to agree on a wage for Matty Longstaff, do you really think Mike Ashley would be offering nearly $500,000 a week for one player? If this had come off, the Welshman would probably been immediately driven to a psych ward and forced to undergo medical testing, because anyone who makes that career decision has clearly swallowed too much shampoo. Sheffield United, Gylfi Sigurdsson. Yeah, this would have been a weird one. Sheffield United have been linked with Gylfi Sigurdsson this year. Yes, he might be slightly over the hill at 31 years of age, but I think he'd have been the perfect signing for Chris Wilder. The club lack a clear creative spark this season, someone who's able to stick the ball in the damn box. Sigurdsson has proven in the past he can dig in and perform for bottom half clubs like Swansea, and yeah, he'd have been the perfect bit of flair to make Rhian Brewster tick. He'd strike up a great midfield partnership with Sander Berg, spanking a few extra free kicks, and think how much the footballing lamppost like Ollie McBurney would love his delivery from corner kicks. Lads, this was probably a missed opportunity. Southampton, Adnan Januzaj. Yeah, remember Adnan Januzaj? That fellow who lit up Old Trafford under David Moyes? Well, he's just been linked with Southampton. Clearly, Ralph Hasenhüttl wasn't paying any attention to Januzaj scoring a big fat 0 goals in 25 games for Sunderland, showing you the upper body strength of a malnourished orphan. Januzaj would have just spent the season rotting on the bench. Tottenham, Danny Ings. Yeah, Jose Mourinho wanted Danny Ings in the summer, and you can understand why. He's a 20 goal a season goal machine, but him winding up at Tottenham to play second field to Harry Kane, it would have been a bit like when Darren Bent, when he was in the form of his life at Charlton, when he wound up at Tottenham, when he already had 2 world-class centre forwards, and Jermaine Defoe. Just like Bent, Ings' confidence would slowly be drained from his face, immediately losing his England place, until before you know it, he's coming off the bench to miss open goals, with his manager telling the media how his elderly wife would have scored that chance. West Brom, Emmanuel Adebayor. Lads, we all know what would have happened if Emmanuel Adebayor wound up at West Brom this summer. He'd have done absolutely nothing. This guy is 36 and clearly left his hunger for the game behind on the bus. Price above, what made Slaven Bilic even consider this washed up lump of fudge when he's out in Paraguay receiving red cards for flying karate kicks? I mean, come on. West Ham, Mario Götze. This wouldn't have even been a shock. I'm surprised world champion Mario Götze didn't wind up at West Ham on a free. He's the typical West Ham signing, a washed up, over the hill big name at massive wages. He's currently limping around out in Holland with PSV, succumbing to muscle injuries every 20 minutes. So yeah, remember Samir Nasri's forgetful spell at West Ham? Go to would have been Nasri Part 2. Wolves Cristiano Ronaldo. This is just insane, but entirely predictable. For a club so entrenched in Portuguese culture as Wolves, how long was it going to be before they were eventually linked to the big guy? Had Ronaldo ditched Juventus to return to England via Wolverhampton Wanderers, while Man United were stuck with Jeff Hendrick, again Ed Woodward would probably need to move house and relocate in a bomb shelter out the east coast of Peru. To be fair, I know Ronaldo turns 36 in February, but he'd probably chip in with 15 goals this season, as Wolves yet again qualify for the Europa League. But Ronaldo convincing his family, a family used to Madrid and Turin, to move into a house in the wet and windy Wolverhampton, a city that smells like a fisherman's armpit, I'm guessing they'd probably burst into tears. Anyway, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.